Sempre nós vamos fazer a live, acho que está todo sentado, 1 metro de distância, depois a gente pode até tirar a máscara se quiserem.
Ai, que bom. Yeah.
So good evening everybody, here we are once again at our study group on a Wednesday night in this very muggy and hot Auckland summer. Some of you are not in Auckland or New Zealand at the moment that are watching now or maybe tomorrow, but here we are, our second in-person meeting for Allan Kardec Spirit Group of New Zealand. Welcome everyone. As most of New Zealanders know, but people from overseas probably don't know, we have a new restrictions for our places of worship and meetings inside. So, but we are still here. We're still able to come. We just have to follow the regulations, which are on our website, in our Facebook page as well. So, welcome everyone. You're not seeing us, but we are here. There are a few of us around here. And you'll be able to see some of the slides that we're going to be reading. If you're not able to read the information on the slides, you can always go to a website, a really good website called kardecpedia.com, and you'll be able to see a different edition of the books, but you'll be able to follow them through if you like. If you have any comments, you can leave them on our Facebook page or Instagram, in our YouTube as well, and we'll do our best to put them on online and answer them or put them on in here as well. So yeah, welcome everybody that is here as well. Good evening, everyone. We don't have many news, just the fact that we are the SG1, the group that are studying online. They're back in business, doing their study. The Monday study of mediumship as well, which is both private groups they are studying. But unfortunately, for the spiritist group studies for children and youth and family on Sundays, they are on hold at the moment until further notice. Probably the second semester, so the third term, when the kids go back to school after the mid-year break, we're probably going to get back, but we will let you know at the moment. So at the moment we're having our Wednesday evenings in here and doing our study groups, which we're very counting on people's participation and discussion. And next month, which will be the last Wednesday of March, we'll have a lecture in Portuguese, but all the meetings are in English. We have books in Portuguese. For those who like to comment in Portuguese as well, there's not a problem. If we need, we can translate for those who are watching online. And yeah, without any further delays, we would like to go ahead and do our first reading of the evening. Just reminding everyone that is here to put their mobiles in silent, and just in case if you need to answer a call, if you are expecting an urgent call, if you can make your way and answer it outside, that would be great, because we're trying to focus this very precious time that we have to study Spiritism, to talk among ourselves, and everybody trying to benefit the most from this very special and very short moment. So our first part of the meeting, we'll have our the reading of our inspirational reading, which is Christian Agenda. Christian Agenda. We're really getting to the end of it now. Really in the thick of it. Getting to the end of it. And we have 50 lessons. We are lesson 48, so it's very exciting. Starting a new year, we're gonna very soon start a new inspirational book. So, would anybody feel inspired to read 48, Consulting Goodness? Any volunteers? Thank you, André.
Consulting goodness. This lender wants you to see the same ugliness that he sees. Can you zoom in a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
I cannot read. Yeah, thank you. Consulting goodness. The slanderer wants you to see the same ugliness he sees in the lives of others. The weak and the hesitant person expects your strength to be brittle. The contentious person will await your presence to take part in disputes against everybody and everything. The ungrateful person will not feel happy at seeing you being grateful towards what others. The
Egotistical.
The egoistical person will not rejoice at seeing your respect for the adversaries. The revolt person will attempt to fix a mask of rebellion to your face. The confused person will try to plunge your mind into the depths of turmoil. The neurasthenic will ask you not to smile. The foolish will demand your adherence to madness. The person who is yet imperfectly spiritualized always seeks to liken his fellow creatures to himself. Nevertheless, remember, however, that you are yourself, with an original task and different responsibilities. And if you aim to real happiness, you should never forget to consult the partners for goodness together with Christ at every hour of your life.
Okay. So after this reading, we can get ourselves in the mood and get ready for our initial prayer. Listen on the music. And so, if you'd like to close your eyes to help you focus and concentrate in this moment, focusing on our breathing, breathing slowly through our nose and oxygenating our bodies and breathing slowly through our mouth. Calming ourselves down, being aware of our body, of our thoughts, trying to leave all our worries and our challenges that we often have during the day at work or at school, at home, and trying to focus in this moment, a moment where when we get together with brothers and sisters in Christ with one goal, to study Spiritism, to learn a little bit more about ourselves, where we came from, what are we doing here, the purpose of this, our lives here, in our destiny. And with our hearts full of gratitude, thankfulness, and joy, we lift our thoughts and our feelings towards God, our Heavenly Father, the infinite source of love, harmony, and peace. Thanking God for this opportunity of being alive, of being here, learning every day, with the many opportunities of exchanging with those who are around us. We also bring our attention and our gratefulness to Jesus Christ, our bigger brother, our role model, who has been with us since the beginning, and 2,000 years ago, approximately, is close to us, leaving us countless examples of true charity and love. We also are aware of the presence of our superior spirits, our guides, our spiritual friends, who are always with us and who also gather here to inspire us, to give us advice, and also to protect us during this meeting. We also invite all our spiritual friends who are here just like us with the intention of learning what's being discussed and studied this evening. and reminding everyone to remain with a positive attitude, with positive thoughts and feelings, so everyone can benefit from this study of Spiritism this evening. And thus we ask permission to start another Allan Kardec Spiritist group of New Zealand, weekly study group. Thank you so much, Solid. All right. So, who was here last week? Let's see. Who was here last week, or who watched online, our study online? Somebody was here last week. What were we talking about? Anybody remember? It's chapter, let's go back a little bit. It's chapter 9. Chapter 9, chapter 8. I should have known because I was here. Chapter 19, sorry, chapter 19. Chapter 8 is on the Spirit's book. Faith moves mountains. Yeah, so do you want to say anything about last week? Do we? No? Pode ser em português mesmo, não tem problema.
Não, vou deixar você dar início e
Okay. So we talked about the power of faith, religious faith, the state of unshakable faith. And we talked about the first 3 parts of this chapter, which was very interesting because he was teaching the disciples a lesson because they were not able to perform a healing or a cure, and they couldn't understand why. And then Jesus tell them that they lacked faith, and they actually tell them, if you have the faith of a seed of mustard, you would say to that mountain, move, and the mountain would move. So then we had to discuss the analogy between the mountains, the spirits telling us that the mountains are not the physical mountains that we have. The mountains are just our challenges, our weaknesses, our difficulties, our ill intent, or they call in the book, our ill will, our bad inclinations that we have to overcome. And the faith is what's going to help us to overcome these challenges. And then they go to say a little bit more about the religious faith, that they are based in 2 different types, a blind faith and a rational faith. Because if you have only blind faith, you can only last so much, because it will come to a point where your reason will question that faith. And he goes to say that the only faith that can face reason is unshakable faith, is the only one that can face all epochs of mankind. So we have to follow our reason to be able to have faith, because you not have faith because you were told so, but because you understand it. You understand the reason why you be for your benefit to have that faith. That's the state of unshakable faith. And also it explains that the reason why the disciples could not cure, I'm not so sure who was it. The son, insane and suffers, and often falls into the fire and often into the water. So somebody that was with mental problems, psychological problems. So they couldn't cure that the man's son. And they explained that the reason why is because faith has a very important factor on the manipulation of the fluids, of the cosmic fluids. The more faith you have, the more power your manipulation of your understanding, because of once again your faith is rational. You have to understand what's happening in the process of the cure. And the disciples, they could not really follow that. So that's pretty much in a nutshell what we had a talk about. Yeah. Does anybody have anything to say on that topic, or does anybody do their homework and study a little bit at home? Because I just want to show you, like last week we didn't actually talk about it, but is interesting because even on this part, they will be talking about trees. This chapter is very arboristic. First talk about the mustard seed, and then we're going to be talking about the withered fig tree. But it's interesting that he compares the faith of a mustard seed. And the mustard seed is one of the smallest. Can you guys picture the mustard seed? It's very tiny, about 1 or 2 centimeters. And actually, I brought a picture here for you to have a look. So this, not centimeters, millimeters. So there's 20 millimeters there. It's about 1 or 2 millimeters. But the mustard tree, it's about can reach up to 6 meters tall. So that little seed, it follows its course. It follows its course to become something that is very big. Not as big as a mountain, but something that is much larger than the seed. So the potentiality of having a tree inside the seed. So just like us, we have that potentiality of becoming better spirits in the scale of the spirits hierarchy. So just to give you an example, this is the tree, mustard tree. So somebody holding a little mustard seed there in between their fingers, and that's a massive 6 meters tall mustard tree. So if we have the faith that size, we can achieve greatness. So Jesus, being a very wise teacher that he was, he gave us many examples of analogies on how to apply that in our lives. Yeah. So now we are on item 8, and I hope our friends at home can see the slides. Would anybody like to read for us? Karen, thank you. Is it big enough? Let me see.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Should I start from the first one?
Just parable of the withered fig tree, which, by the way, is dried. Like dried up is withered.
Parable of the wheat bread fig tree. When they left Bethany, he was hungry. And seeing a fig tree for some way off, he went to see if he could find something on it, and have come to it. He only found leaves, because it was not the season for the figs. Then Jesus said to the fig tree, May no one eat any more fruit from you, which his disciples heard. On the following day, as they passed by the fig tree, they saw that it had become withered down to its roots. And remembering Jesus' words, Peter said to him, Master, look how the fig tree that you cursed has become withered. Jesus answered him, saying, Have faith in God. Verily, I say to you that whoever says to that mountain, be uprooted and cast yourself into the sea, without any doubt in his heart, but firmly believing that what he has said will happen, will see actually happen. And you mark, yeah.
Okay, any trees, any words that we don't understand in that passage? It's pretty clear, right? Okay. So let's go ahead and read the number 9 as well. See what is the symbol of the withered fig tree? Yeah. Can you read first?
Yeah. It's what? Withered.
Withered.
The withered fig tree symbolizes persons who have only the appearance of goodness, but who in reality produce nothing that is worthwhile. orators who are more flashy and substantial, whose words display the vanish of superficiality. They please the ears, but upon close observation, nothing substantial for the soul is found in them. After hearing them, one asks what benefit was derived from listening to them. It is also the symbol of all persons who have the means of to be useful but are not. All the copious, all the inventaries, all of the doctrines that lack a solid foundation. What is the most of lack is true faith, productive faith, the faith that stirs the fibers of the soul. In other words, the faith that moves mountains. They are trees. There are trees that have leaves but not fruit. That is why Jesus condemns them through barrenness. For they will come in which they will become rooted down to their roots, which means that all theories, all doctrines that have not produced any good from human kind will fall to the nothingness, that all deliberately useless human beings, for lack of having put to practice the souls that they have in them. They will be treated like the regret victory.
Cool. So what can we kind of gather the idea of the analogy or the comparison of the symbol of the fig tree that Jesus bring to us? Anybody like to comment on that? What does it mean, the withered fig tree, coming from the biblical passage? Anybody would like to elaborate and share with us? I'll put the passage, the parable.
I don't know if I understood like the parable, but like what means is that like we came to this life, this world to share, to use, to like help people, to share people, and like not just if you are trying good words or trying just to speak out that you are doing something that you're not really doing. You kind of like the street, beautiful people just think that you have something to offer, but at the end it is a tree without a fruit, that can benefit someone else and help someone.
Very good one. Yeah, very good. Well, very well put. Would you like to comment something?
Yeah, I'd like to apologize, but I can't speak in English. I don't
You
know
are
why.
speaking English now.
Yeah, but I don't know.
That's fine.
I can't-
That's fine.
Yeah,
That's
so
okay.
I was speaking Portuguese. Sorry about that. Quando ele fala da figueira, sendo uma figueira, né, sendo uma árvore, você tem o potencial da fruta. Como nós, seres humanos, sendo a imagem e semelhança de Deus, temos um potencial de fazer o bem de sermos perfeitos, né? E é aquela coisa de ser perfeito assim como teu pai foi perfeito. Então nós somos, na minha percepção, bem rasinha, mas nós somos como a sementinha do estado que tem aquele potencial de se tornar aquela árvore de 6 metros. Mas aí quando a gente não tenta, quando a gente não se trabalha, a gente se torna aquela árvore que só tem folha, mas não dá fruto. Então eu acho que a passagem quer dizer isso, né? Quando Jesus ele recolhe a árvore, ele espera que a árvore dê bons frutos, ou dê frutos para que ele possa se alimentar. E não é isso que ele vê. Então é por isso que ele é uma pessoa árvore. Então eu acho que a gente trazendo para a gente nós somos a imagem e semelhança de Deus, nós temos o potencial de sermos perfeitos. E a gente não pode estar colocando aquela coisa de não, mas eu sou humano, não erra, não. A gente tem que mirar para a perfeição e ir se trabalhando, né? Não adianta só ficar no não, mas é assim mesmo, né? é minha interpretação, não sei se está.
Very good. Obrigado. Amigo, você faz uma coisa?
So I was reading that and I was thinking about nowadays
Sim.
we have even now a profession that they call influencer or something like that. As the person responsible to influence a lot of people. And then here is like a one of those people that not that they're not doing something that's good, but what they are influencing the people that's following them. So the idea is for them to, like Richard said, you have to say some things and be an example, not just say good things and then act something that you are not, or even saying things that you're leading people the wrong way. And that's someone that's leading in front in a spot where everyone can see you and you're doing like a bad example. And that's what is the victory, at least on that first paragraph. And then the other one is talking more about the kind of religions that they don't have like the foundation. And then at the moment you can see it's working for you, but in the long run, you're not going to be able to sustain yourself.
Would you like to say something?
Well, everyone says everything now. But I do see exactly the same way. Just like Andrea said, the fig tree is supposed to give figs. So if it's there and supposed to have figs in it, it doesn't have any, there's no reason why it to be there. So I think it's important to remember that we all under God. We all, here, today's powers. So we all have meaning. We all here, and we're all supposed to be doing something. We're all supposed to obviously do good with what we have. So if you don't, that's actually no reason to be here. If you're going to waste it. In comparison to another paragraph where they mention this false prophets, you can actually compare that to mediumship, where people have mediumship. They could have in early stage of their life a really good connection to the spirits, and they use that in a good way, and then they get misguided, and then lead people to mistakes. They lead people to a false state of morals, where it involves money, sometimes even physical contact. So I see the fig tree in a way that it's the gifts that God has given to us, so we can use that on earth. And if we have people like those people who build religions based on money or materialist subjects and things like that, that just like the fig tree, it will fall and will be with it. That's not really a reason to be there. Which potentially is also a test for those people who are inspirations and etc. But the way I see it, it's pretty much that. It seems like Jesus was doing bad and he cursed the tree, and why he didn't fix the tree, right? Why he didn't say, okay, fruits come out of the tree. So I think the idea was he giving to his disciples that example. He wasn't trying to do something bad, he wasn't being evil or anything like that, obviously not. What he was showing them is that we all have a purpose and we should follow that. There is a part in the Bible that Lucas mentioned about another fig tree, that he watched the fig tree for 3 years and no fig come out of that. And then they decided, okay, let's just chop it off. And then Lucas asked, no, let's give the tree one more year. I'm gonna dig a hole around, and I'm gonna fertilize the soil, and I'm gonna do everything I can to look after this tree. If in 1 year still no fruit, then we cut it off. And it relates to that. So obviously the tree was there for a while. I'm nervous now. No, I didn't. I didn't ask Lucas. Yeah, I think he just gave up. But that's a good comparison. Obviously the tree was there for a long time, which is just us. And benefit and charity and good things are given to us every single day. The fact that we wake up and we are alive, what a gigantic gratitude we should have for the day. So every single day you have good things coming towards you. You wake up every day to a new day that you never lived before. So there you go. You have everything you needed. even after 1 year, your cells of your body, almost 98% of them change. So you're always a new person. So that's why just that's what I get from the parable. It's going to focus on what you should do and where you should go. Otherwise, it's not gonna be there.
Yeah, it was very interesting how from one parable of the withered fig tree, we can relate to two other parables, actually many other parables, but let's focus on two. One is of there will be false prophets, which the one already exemplified. Not everyone that says Lord, 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 Lord will be there, which is what he's saying. The withered fig tree symbolizes persons who have only the appearance of goodness, like we say in Portuguese, é da boca para fora. You know, they talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. So and it's very recognizable because you can recognize a good tree by the fruit it gives. Which is another parable of the sower, the semeador, palavra semeador. When the seed falls into the right type of land, it's supposed to grow. And the second part of the item 9, when he goes to tell us about the people that could do good, could be useful, but are not. People that they have the potential, which we all have, right? Like Rita said, we have that potentiality, we have that perfectibility. We're not perfect, but we have the capability of becoming perfect. That's our destiny, that's our goal for all of us. In the hierarchy of spirits, we have all our lives as spirits to reach that perfection. So we are perfectible. But we have that possibility of getting better, and we are given talent. We have acquired talents, and that brings me to the parable of the talents that we can see on chapter. I cannot remember the number now, but it's what you cannot serve both God and Mammon. That's the parable that it tells about. The Lord is like a master that has to leave his farm, his land, but gives 5 talents and he gives talents according to their abilities. 5 to one, 2 to another, and 1 to another. The 5 and 2, they multiply, they double their talents, but then the one that receives 1, he buries the talent and just gives back that talent. So that part of this explanation brought me back the memory of that chapter where we have those talents and we are able or should be able to put them to use because they are wasted otherwise. And in that parable, he says, so that money that I gave to that servant, which was mean, not mean, but not very good, well intended, give that talent to the one that has 5, which actually now has 10, and put them into the darkness, where there be gnashing of the teeth and suffering, which we're going to get there because on the item number 10, there's something that we're going to be talking about that. What does that mean, that suffering and that gnashing of teeth and being cast to be the prey of evil spirits that we're going to be talking about a little bit later. So let's keep that in mind for now, that idea of which, just like Togo was saying, that Jesus will not, of course, Jesus couldn't be evil by cursing the tree and giving the tree the fate that actually it deserved because it was not giving fruit, so there was no use for that tree. Of course, that tree would have another possibility of maybe growing and becoming another tree. As we know in Spiritism, we have that as a reincarnation. We have always the possibility of becoming a seed. We talk a lot about trees in class today. It's a botanical class. It's a vegan, yeah. So we can be the seed again and grow to be a beautiful and lush and fruitful fig tree. It all depends on how we behave. Anybody else would like to make any comments about item 8 or 10 or 9?
Let me just see
Can I
if
ask
anybody else
something?
is. Yeah, of course.
Maybe silly, or I don't know. but
No, there's no silly.
Why Jesus used that example for the fig tree?
Why Jesus used the example?
Yeah, that's what he's talking about, because it's about,
Why he used the example?
yeah,
To teach them a lesson. to teach the disciples a lesson, to be related to faith, because that's what he said. He said at the end of that, going back to the parable, he says, "Have faith in God. Verily I say to you, that whoever says to that mountain, be uprooted and cast yourself into the sea, without any doubt in his heart, but firmly believing that what he has said will happen, will see it actually happen." So it was just a warning to the disciples to have faith in what he was saying, in what he was preaching, and teaching them in that example, so they could follow Jesus and have faith in the work that they should do. Because the trees that are not giving fruit, they will be useless.
But this is was only one example for the people that time.
Yes, yes, it's an example because as we see in many parables, Jesus used what he could see around him, what he could see around him, and he always trying to give them a lesson for the betterment and for the development of these disciples, and by default, everybody else, teaching them a lesson.
So this passage here, Jesus Christ
Mm-hmm.
talk only with those
The disciples, yeah.
disciples.
Yeah.
Only with them.
Yeah. But then at the beginning, so when they left Bethany, he was hungry.
Yeah.
So that's why he was hungry, but he could not find the resource that the tree was supposed to give, which is fruit, the fruit.
This is just what's the word? You said before, no paradox,
But did I answer your question?
no, thank you.
No problem.
Another good analogy that we can make out of the
Analogy.
Analogy, yeah, comparison, yeah,
Yeah,
comparison.
another analogy we can do it is that sometimes if you ask someone from another religion, so Christian or Catholic, no, another religion, you ask them, what happens to you when you die? And they say, oh, either go heaven or hell. And you ask them, okay, how I not go hell? They say, I don't do anything bad. You're not going to go hell. Okay, yeah, all right. So if I don't do anything bad, I'm going to heaven. Well, yeah. So for me, that's not how it works. If you don't do anything, you're not doing any good, and you're not doing any bad. Just like the tree was just there. It wasn't doing nothing. It wasn't doing bad, but also it was not doing good. It was not giving the fruit that's supposed to. And we correlate that to our lives. If you just sit on your couch there and you wait for it to die 100 years, you know, according to the analogy, you're not going to go heaven because you're actually not doing anything good. You know what I mean? So not doing good is also a bad thing. You know? So if you just think on a very, very simple, of course, very dynamic analogy that I'm making, so that links to the tree. You know? So we here for a purpose. Like when he said, we're here to evolve. We're here to do good. That's why we're born the tools that we are born. When they talk about false prophets, for example, that person that has born with a gift, you know, of that mediumship, they obviously have to do good. Potentially, they probably have the need of doing good in this life to potentially fix something that happened before. That's why they're born with those tools. You know, we always are born with the tools that we needed to evolve and follow the plans that we're supposed to follow in here in this life. So they misguided that. The tree was born with the potential of making fruit. So it decided not to. I don't know why, but it is a, you know what I mean? Just like a little knowledge between good and bad.
And just what you're saying, there is a question on the Spirit's book that says that we are responsible for everything that happens that's bad. If you miss, I will be going to read the question. I think it's there. Sorry, I don't remember that very well. 642, just a second. in order to be pleasing to God and to ensure our future situation is enough to simply not to do what is evil. And then the spirits answer, no, all must do good to be the best of their abilities. For all will answer for all the evil that has resulted from the good that they left undone. So we're responsible for everything that's bad that happens if we miss a chance to do something good. And it's really, really freaked me out when I first heard that question, but it's something that I try to do that every time. So I see a possibility to do something good. It's because the spirits put me in that place to do that something good. And if I miss that opportunity, I will be responsible for everything bad that happens.
Yeah, and we're going to see that not in the next item, but I think item 11, the instruction from the spirits, because faith is the first step. There's going to be faith, and then it becomes hope, and then it becomes charity. Because by your faith, you know that there's no point in just talking, just like it says, because you'd be just like a tree without fruit. You're not actually doing anything. You might be giving somebody a shade, or but then you're taking away nutrients from the soil, but not doing anything. So you are not you're not fitting the purpose that you were supposed to be there. So the faith fulfilling it. The faith would actually, the good faith and the rational faith is the one that will lead you to be charitable, to do something for you, of course, because by being charitable, you are making yourself better and those that are around you. But I think if you just read number 10, just to finalize our reading for the gospel to this part, I think it will be a little bit clearer as well. Thanks for reading, Ricardo. Does anybody else would like to read number 10?
I can read it.
Thanks so much.
Number 10. Mediums are interpreters of spirit, supplying the physical organs that they lack to transmit their teachings to us. That is the reason mediums have been endowed with faculties to this effect. In these times of social renewal, they have a particular mission. They are all trees that must provide spiritual nursery to their brothers and sisters. They are multiplying in number in order for this nourishment to be abundant. They are found everywhere, in all countries, among all social classes, among the rich and the poor, the great and the small, so that none are disinherited. Thanks. And to prove to humankind that all are called. However, if they divert from this provincial purpose, the priceless faculty that has conceived to them, if they make it serve pointless or harmful matters, if they put in the service of worldly interests, if instead of a healthy fruit, they bear an unhealthy fruit, if they refuse to render it useful to others, if they derive from it no benefit for improvements themselves, they are like the barren fig tree. God will take away the gift that has become useless in their hands, the seed that they have not been able to bring to fruition. Fruition, yeah.
Fruition.
Fruition, that's a beautiful word, isn't it?
Yeah.
And God will let them become the prey of evil spirits.
I think that's it, because the next one probably going to do next week. So, yes, I thought it was interesting that you chose to read because you mentioned mediums just before.
That's what I say. Yeah. It's good.
Do you have anything else to add, or actually, just before we go ahead, any words that we don't understand? No, it's all good.
My new favorite word is fruition.
Fruition, to bring to fruition.
To make a fruit, give it fruits, yeah.
Yeah.
So it is exactly what we have taught. And it's interesting how God will let them become the prey of evil spirits. So again, if you are a false prophet, if you mislead your mediumship, if you mislead the gifts that was given to you by God, He will just let you be the target of those evil spirits that are just waiting for opportunity. And you, in fact, will grow, or you think you're growing, but you're going to grow in a very unhealthy and bad way, which definitely not going to help you.
Andrea, would you like to comment anything about item number 10? Let's pass the imaginary pen around,
Yeah,
the
okay.
microphone around. Tânia, would you like to say anything?
Não, thank you.
Rita, quer comentar alguma coisa?
Não, acho que tudo foi muito bem esmiuçado, mas é isso. Você vem com um dom, você vem com aquele potencial de fazer o bem, né? Se você não faz, você tem que ser responsabilizado por aquilo. E é isso que acontece. Né?
Okay. I think it's interesting that he reminds us that the mediumship is not exclusive, is not an exclusive tool or gift or talent of spiritists. It's in all countries, all among all social classes, the rich and the poor, great and small. So these are all this information that is coming, from the truth of the divine truth is coming from many different channels. Of course, with different variations, with different explanations, according to the people that are looking for this truth. But it's available to everyone. And it's interesting that he said that if the mediums, which are the ones that are in charge, or the ones that were given this talent, because because they have reached that. Just looking back and thinking back about the parable of the talents, it says the Lord distribute the talents according to their abilities. So if a person came to this planet with the capabilities of being a medium, is because they have that opportunity, be it a mission or be it a debt from a different past life. But it is a possibility, it is an opportunity. So if the person does not follow that opportunity, God will take away the gift that has become useless, just like the fig tree, the seed they have not been able to bring to fruition. And God will let them become the prey of evil spirits. Just reminding us that that idea of punishment, it's non-existent in Spiritism. God is not punishing the mediums that are not able to fulfill their destiny, fulfill their job. Just like the fig tree as well, we have an opportunity to grow again, but it is just a matter of a divine law of free will. You are free to choose which path you take, but also you are responsible for your choices in life. So, in an act of mercy from God, because we feel guilty, just like the fig tree, at the moment we are enjoying life, we're not thinking about eating fruit, but when we disincarnate and we realize the opportunity that we missed, and which is one of the most repeated sentences, which in the spiritual world people think or pronounce, "Oh, if I only knew, what I could have, what I could done, what I should have done." So that feeling will bring us the need to recover ourselves, our wrongdoing. So it's not in a way just like the parable of the talent, where the one that hid the talent was placed in the darkness, where there was a lot of suffering and gnashing of teeth, ranger de dentes, the gnashing of teeth, and just like here, we let them become the prey of evil spirits. Not because God is judging them, but because that person feels the need to follow the divine law and become better. So, yeah, it's a very important lesson for all of us to watch, watching our branches, what kind of fruits are we providing? Are we providing him fruits at all? So in always talking about fruits and botanicals once again, you reap what you sow. A gente colhe o que a gente planta, né? No pun intended. Tudo. Okay.
Just one more thing. You said that this is an opportunity, and we have to remember that we have everything that it takes to be successful in our life. So if you have been gifted with this, the mediumship, it means that you have what it takes to be a good medium, and it was planned before you were born. So you have like this reincarnation plan that we do with our superior spirits that are with us, and then they are planning, okay, you're going to have this gift, and you can be using your mediumship for good. And that's the plan. So if you get here to Earth and then you don't follow that plan, you have the free will. You don't have to, but if you don't follow, you will be responsible for everything. And then what Mani said. Regrets.
Okay, so we are on starting next week on item 11 in slide 18. Okay. We don't have any comments. We have a comment in Russian for somebody on YouTube, but I don't know. I don't speak Russian today. Maybe I spoke Russian last reincarnation, but not this reincarnation. So now we are on the Spirits book, which is interesting because we are talking about the emancipation of the soul. We are talking about, we are on the part of the Spirits book that talk about the emancipation of the soul when we are incarnated, and our spirit or our perispirit temporarily leaves this body. The first part we talked about, and actually we're still talking about it, it's about dreams, sleep and dreams. And I think this part talking about the visits of spirits, friends. Yes. Visit between the spirits of living persons, yeah. So we are on question 417. Just a few more questions to go with this one. Does anybody like to start reading? We take turns and read the questions and maybe comment.
I can read.
Thank you. Is that enough?
Can a certain number of incarnate spirits meet and form a gathering? Of course, the bond of friendship, ordered all of you, frequently reunite a number of spirits who feel happy at being together. The word old refers to their ties of friendship contracted in previous existences. Upon awakening, we bring back an intuition of the ideas we have acquired during such concealed colloquies.
Colloquies, yeah.
Colloquies.
Colloquies like meeting, like there's different words for meeting.
Even though their source appears unknown to us.
Just a little explanation, so for those who may be joining us for the first time. So this is the question that Allan Kardec asked, and then of course, the second part is the answer by the spirits, and then a different font is what Kardec is clarifying. He's clarifying what the word old means, old or new. So yeah, of course, there's a number of incarnate spirits meet, in the emancipation of the soul. Maybe Tanya, can you read for us, please?
Yeah, eu acho que meu não é igual.
418.
Não está bem consigo.
That's okay.
If your person believes a friend to be dead, but who in reality was not, could that person meet the friend in spirit and thus know that she was still alive? In such a case, could this person have an intuition about it upon awakening? As a spirit, the individual can certainly see friend and know how she is. If the belief in her death was not meant as a trial, the person will have a presentiment that she is alive, or that she is in fact dead.
It's interesting, yeah. Anybody like to make a comment about this one? Person believed her to be dead, but reality was not. Could that person meet the friend in spirit, like when they are sleeping and then they emancipate, they leave the body and they meet the person in the sleep? Could they know that the friend is alive or not?
I think so, huh?
It's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, because interesting. I think you know when you're sleeping with someone passed away. Huh?
Yeah. And there are cases where, of course, the person is alive, but you have a dream about that the person is going through, have an accident or have a, heart attack or something, and you call them and they are, and they are actually in trouble. You know, if you are really connected to a person, it's possible to happen. And there are many cases where somebody disincarnated and then a person somewhere else in a different place could actually perceive that person in, you know, in a dream or taking a nap, or even when they are in a awakened state, but if they are able to emancipate the perispirit and have a perception of the spiritual world, that can happen as well. Yeah. André, could you read the number 419? I think it's a long one, eh?
It's okay.
Yeah. You take by parts.
The concealed transmission of thought. 419. Why is it that the same idea, a discovery, for example, arises at the same time in many places? We have already stated that spirits communicate with one another during sleep. Well then, when the body awakes, the spirit remembers what it has learned and the person thinks or he or she has invented. Thus, many may seem to have discovered the same thing at the same time. When you say that an idea is floating around, you employ a figure of speech that is more precise than you think. Without even suspecting it, each one contributes to the dissemination.
Yeah, so that's the answer of the spirits, and now Kardec is giving his further explanation, his comments.
In this way, our spirit itself often
Unknowingly,
yeah, reveals the object of object of our walking preoccupations to other spirits.
okay, to whom?
420. Can spirits communicate with one another when the body is completely awake? A spirit is not enclosed in his body as if it were in a box. It radiates all around in every direction. Hence, it can communicate with other spirits even in the waking state, although it does so with more difficulty.
Yeah, so that's the idea that is going to be developing from now on, is the transmission of thought. You know, just like um, the transmission of thought in the act of prayer. So when you pray to somebody, you're sending all that energy, that feeling, that fluids and everything to the person who's receiving. So the same thing is with thought. How many times have we gone through sometimes thinking about a person for so long? I mean, it used to happen to me when I first came to New Zealand 26 years ago, and then I receive a letter, but now there's no more letters. It's just either a phone call or email or a text. When you're thinking about somebody, and then you are kind of in a way have a presentiment, you have a feeling of connection, and that happens quite often. When you're thinking about somebody, the phone rings and that person is there. And the more aware you become of it, the more you believe, once again talking about faith, the more you believe in it, and I believe that it happens, the more you're going to be, sorry, the less you're going to be surprised by it, but the more you're going to be seeing around you, and how that happens. Anybody would like to make any comments about any of the questions that we read so far? I think we can do another couple of. Anybody? Don't be shy.
It's interesting when you comment about how you think about someone, or you wish, pretty much you wish someone to be good, and that person receives the end, they feel good, and it's beautiful when we only talk about the positive parts of it, but then we have to remember that if you think negative about someone, it could cause the same effect.
Yes.
If you have negative thoughts about a person, in the same way you can send this positive, this good energy to that person, you will send a bad one. So that's why I know sometimes it's a bit out of our control. You're driving and someone does something and you instantly just have that bad reaction. Obviously, something that you have to watch out for. And yeah, it's just one of those little things that you can do to help you advance your morals and the way you are in life.
Yeah. And just thinking once again about talking about the faith, the rational faith, and because as we know, we are our mind, in our spirit, our very spirit, we are power plants can create, regenerate ideas. Through the literature of André Luiz in the life and the spiritual world, we learned the term ideoplastia, because for forma pensamento, every thought that we have is built into a shape. We shape these thoughts. So just following what Togun was saying, when we create something good, we have to draw the energy from us to create that something good. But if we create something bad, we are generating that. So that feeling of the first person to be affected by that energy is you. So the moment that we understand that and we realize that, that will give us that faith that we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't wish bad things for the people because we're going to hell. We shouldn't wish bad things on people because we are damaging, first of all, ourselves, and then we are damaging somebody else as well. And that'll become a chain reaction. So I think it's interesting how we are connecting both readings now.
Yeah.
First of the faith. And so once you have that faith, and you see in the cases that are shown in the Spiritist books that by generating something inferior, that can be affecting you as well as all the ones that are around you. And the same thing goes for creating something good. When you create something good, something peaceful, something calm, something that has a real meaning of faith, that will resonate with others that are around you as well, and putting that to practice. Yeah.
So which means, the fig tree was probably a bad fig tree. It had the potential of creating fruits, but it was jealous and worried about all the wrong things, and then lost the chance of building figs, and there you go, lost it. Just like we can do that sometimes. You get too busy worrying about other people or caring about other people in a bad way or pointing fingers here and there, and you forgot to do what you're supposed to do, to be yourself, to follow the good in you, to look after you.
Yeah. 421. Why do two perfectly awake persons sometimes have the same thought at exactly the same time? Why? Why does that happen? They are two attuned spirits who communicate with each other and read each other's thoughts, even when they are not asleep. When spirits meet, there is sometimes a communication of thought that enables two persons to see and understand each other without the need for verbal language. They may be said to speak the language of spirits. Sometimes my wife look at me, I know exactly what she's thinking.
That's fear. That's not
communication.
no, telepathy. That's fear.
That's fear. Yes, honey. Yes, dear.
Yes, that's called fear.
No, but it's jokes aside. Sometimes you pick up like from family, mother, father, brother, sister, people that you are around a lot of the times. You just have a feeling, You like you just, if you are aware of it, if you open yourself, you are more suitable to be in that position of being picking up the thoughts and the feelings of those that are around you. But we have to be a little bit less self-centered, not worried about ourselves, and being worried about others around us. And, all right, so that's the gospel. There was a gospel before, and now is the Spirit's book. Do we have any final
Just to
comments?
extrapolate a little bit on this question,
Mm-hmm.
that's why the spirits can understand us and see our thoughts, and we can't hide anything from them, because everything that we are thinking, it's here around us, and they can see everything that we're thinking. That's why if you're thinking good things, good spirits will be around you. And if you're thinking bad things, you're going to attract bad spirits or spirits that are not involved and not yet.
This is a little bit trickier because some people don't believe in that.
They believe in them.
No, just live normal, don't think, oh, if I think bad, will be bad for me, or will return for me. Some people just don't see this
You
way.
don't care, yeah.
I think
Don't see
they,
this way.
I think it's because they have like short memory. Because sometimes you can see the effect straight away. I've been sometimes that I was really angry and I could feel my neck, pain in my neck straight away because everything was rigid. But sometimes that thinking, you kind of start thinking something really bad, and then you can kind of get in some really bad scenarios like depression and things like that. It starts with just a small thought, but it keeps like reminding you of that and keeps like going back. And then there are spirits that are not good and can go and influence you even more, and that's why you get those kind of like sickness that are not from the body, it's from the mind. I think depression is one of the biggest one that we can relate it to those kind of things.
Por isso que Jesus disse, né? Olhar, né? Vigiar, orar e vigiar, né?
True.
Okay, so we're now going to our final stage of our meeting, which is the vibration or collective prayer or irradiation stage, which all mean the same thing. He's going to be doing a little bit of work, just been doing a bit of charity, helping those who are in need, including ourselves. And then we're going to be doing a collective spiritual treatment, especially now that we are on red light, we have to have a bit of a distance. So we are already, by being here, we are already blessed with all the lessons and all the participation that we had from everybody. So thank you everyone for participating. And then we're going to be doing our final prayer. And for those who are here, we have our magnetized water. If you have a glass of water in your house, that will be blessed as well with the energies and the fluids from the spirits that are here with us. And then we'll close the meeting. So just after these conversations and chats and information that we received in this evening, we calm ourselves once again after all this excitement of learning once again the words and the examples by Jesus explained by the superior spirits, our benefactors. We take a moment to calm ourselves once again, controlling our breathing, being aware of our thoughts, watching them pass by, not judging, not holding into them, but just listening to the music and listening to my voice, using our imagination, the power of creation, in our feelings, imagining ourselves holding hands, surrounded by those spiritual friends that are here to assist us in this activity. And we can imagine a big circle of light surrounding us, and suddenly this light becomes intense, it intensifies in brightness, amplifying, going around from this room, this building, going around the block, and we start to feel it going around the domain, all the area of Parnell. As we start to move ourselves, imagining looking the whole North Island surrounded by this light, that suddenly becomes connected with other houses of prayer in the South Island, Australia, Asia, going through Europe, Africa, and finally reaching all the Americas. And we can see our planet Earth, this blue orb, our blue planet, our home, our school, sometimes also seeing our hospital in times of COVID and other diseases. Let us imagine our planet surrounded by a net of light, of peace, supported by the superior spirits. Our little planet that is going through a moment of transition, planetary transition that has been designed by God. And we are slowly marching towards a better planet, a better civilization, better society, and better us. So with our hearts full of gratitude of being here, we pray for the planet, and we pray for peace in times of struggles in many countries. We pray for those who are suffering of hunger and disease in less privileged countries. We pray for our brothers and sisters that are in Tonga, who had recently had a volcanic eruption. A few have died, but many are still isolated. Let the love of Jesus Christ be in their hearts, giving them hope, giving them faith in a better future. We also pray for those who are still struggling with the pandemic. Millions have died, disincarnated, following their path in the spiritual growth. But many more were left behind with the confusion, not understanding that death is nothing but a transition. And there will be a time where we're all going to be together. Let us involve them with a hug and with this opportunity of new learning and new awareness. We now take a moment to pray for those who have also passed away from other diseases that were not able to be treated because of the overpopulation of the hospitals. We ask our spiritual friends that are around them, according to their need and their merits, to be shown a new possibility of going to wherever they need to go. Making sure that they understand at the moment that they need to move on, assistance will be granted, repenting from their mistakes and their attachment with the material life. We also take a moment to pray for the spirits that are about to incarnate. Many are going, but many more are arriving. We pray for the new generation, the spirits that are here, helping this planet to evolve and to grow. Let's now take a moment to open a window or a frame in our minds and imagine the picture or the face of the people that we know that are going through difficult times. It could be physical difficulties, psychological, emotional, spiritual. It does not matter what we think, but let's just offer this possibility of imagining somebody we know in our circle of friends, workmates, people that we live with, including those with whom we have difficulty living with. Let us imagine those people, our brothers and sisters, smiling, being happy as they receive this blessing from above, giving them the opportunity to feel better so they can have the strength to keep working on themselves in this long journey we call life, this reincarnation. We now take a moment as a preparation for our final prayer to thank the superior spirits for being here, preparing this environment, giving us the inspirations that we received. Also in this moment, applying the fluids in the water that we're about to drink, and also applying the spiritual treatment we're receiving right now. So let us imagine and feel these fluids in us. And for that, we are very grateful for this moment. And we breathe in, and we breathe out. We now feeling blessed and happy with this moment. Once again, we lift our thoughts and our feelings towards God, our Father, for being so good to us. We are given many things. The sun that gives us energy, gives us the light, the rain that gives us water, the wind that cools us down, the oxygen we breathe, the birds that sing in the sky, the flowers that give the perfume, the children that smile with their innocence. Many of these things go unnoticed in our busy daily lives. But in this moment, we praise you for every single thing you give us in our lives, including the opportunities to grow in the form of challenges that most of the time we don't understand. That we put our faith in you, in your designs, in your will. We also thank Jesus for being our role model, our bigger brother, with the countless examples, with a few we studied tonight, and our spiritual friends that are always with us here, helping us with the activities of Allan Kardec Spiritist Group of New Zealand. And in this moment, let us all go in peace until we meet again in another meeting for our group. And we ask permission to finish another meeting this Wednesday. Thank you so much, so be it. Amen. We have to say farewell to our friends online, and we'll see you all next week. Take care.